Sorry. Sure.
I call to order the December 19, 2016 legislative session of Swarthmore Borough Council. We know that Mr. Carey will not be here tonight. I expect Mr. Cregan and Mr. Murphy to haul in most any time, but we have a quorum, and I suggest that we, and the mayor is here, I suggest we get going. We would recognize the public for comment on any subject of relevance to the borough. Seeing nobody rushing the podium, we'll proceed. We have circulated to us minutes of November 14 meeting and December 5th 5 meeting. Is there a motion that we approve those minutes as circulated? There is a question about the December 5 minutes, but let's get a motion to approve, and then we'll deal with a possible change in one minor respect.
I circulated revised minutes, actually,
Okay,
so I would ask that you do the revised minutes.
Okay, that's even as the revised minute, there's a question
Oh.
of one sentence. So, is there a motion for the approval of the minutes as circulated and then as revised insofar as the December 5 minutes are concerned?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. That has been suggested with respect to December 5 minutes that if you turn to the bottom of page 3 and the top of page 4, under finance, that paragraph concludes with a sentence that there was a consensus from council on both proposed changes. It's been suggested that we did nothing that would indicate the existence of a non-existence of a consensus, but rather that it might be better if that sentence was not in the minutes. Is there approval for the deletion of that sentence? Not suggesting that those will not be, in both cases, the transfer of money to the capital sewer fund or the increase of 2% to 3.5% will not be approved. But at least it's been suggested that that sentence be deleted, at least insofar as the capital, well, in both respects. Is that okay? Does anybody have a problem with the deletion of that sentence from the minutes?
No.
Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes as circulated, in the case of the December 5 minutes as revised and circulated, and then with the deletion of that sentence, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, they're approved as indicated. Mr. Murphy.
All right.
I'm perfect. Thank you. We have had before us for consideration the council meeting schedule for 2017 and the holiday schedule for 2017. I asked for a motion to approve those schedules as circulated to us and in several cases revised.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving those schedules say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye and they are approved. Mr. Cregan is now with us.
Yes, sir.
We've decided we'd just press on since we had a quorum to start.
Good choice.
Thank you. We have proposed, we have before us tonight two resolutions, setting fees, charges, and fines for 2017, which would be Resolution 2016-16, and Resolution would be 2016-17, setting salaries and benefits for 2017. Is there a motion to approve those resolutions as they've been developed at this point? As both those schedules have been developed at this point. Well, do you have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any question? All those in favor of adoption of those two resolutions, 2016-16 and 2016-17, say aye.
Aye.
There is on the agenda under President reappointment to the board of Central Delaware County Authority. Susan Smythe, who has been serving that position for the past 5 years, has agreed to, for reasons which escape me, has agreed to again serve in that position, but the bylaws are such that of that organization is that we really can't appoint somebody until there's a vacancy, and there won't be a vacancy until January So we will have this on our agenda in January. I bet she has been receiving, and I would say that virtually all representatives to the Central Delaware County Authority from the 16-member municipalities receive a stipend from their municipalities in that connection. And the Swarthmore representative, going back so far as nobody can remember how far, has been receiving $600 a year for that purpose. And I would suggest that we can, when we reappoint Susan to that position, is it a 5 or 6 year term?
5.
A 5-year term, that we increase that $600 a year to the princessly sum of $750 a year. But no action is to be taken on that tonight. I would call to your attention and to the public's attention that the borough is the recipient of a certificate of recognition from the Delaware Valley Insurance Trust of Horsham, Pennsylvania, of a certificate of recognition for exemplary achievement and leadership in minimizing liability losses for 2015. A certificate suitable for framing.
Name
Looks like it's
frame.
already framed.
I think it's on the.
I told you it was suitable for framing. And so,
Strike that from the record.
and to that, we owe thanks to our managers, both the uniformed and non-uniformed personnel of the borough, all of whom deserve recognition for their individual contributions to making this award possible, and we thank them. Is there a report from the Environment Committee?
There's not this time.
Okay, and you will, or did not, or won't be meeting in this month?
Right.
Okay. The Finance Committee, Mr. Carey's not here. Did he deputize somebody who agreed to act on his behalf tonight to lead us through all these things?
He did. It's, right, there are a number of items on the agenda I see. I hope that I can get through them, but I'm sure with everyone's help here, we'll be able to do that. The financial report for November 2016. We continue to be in a strong position. Our cash balance as of November 30th was $987,000. Actually, $987,665. That's closer to $988,000. So strong cash balance as of November 30th. Any questions about that? End of the year, looking pretty good. Next are checks and wire transfers to ratify. There are wire transactions in the amount of $2,618.30. I move that they be ratified.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any question about any of those items? All those in favor of ratifying those transactions, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, any opposed? They're ratified.
There is an item, there are two transactions totaling $7,000, which were for the purchase of concrete. I don't have any details on that. David,
Yeah.
Jane, do you have it?
Yeah, so there was an unfortunate accident in the parking lot where somebody just really plowed into the wall and destroyed it. So we were paid. These are actually both pass-through checks.
Okay.
So we had Premier came back. They sent an estimate. We sent that to the person's insurance company. It didn't even go through our insurance company, which is good.
All right.
So this was a pass-through.
That was a
back to
pass-through.
them, right? This
Okay.
income came in probably the same month. Do you want to talk about, did you mention what the next one was?
Yeah, the next one was this is, it's kind of surprising, it kind of leaps out at you. $1,913,305, which is a considerable chunk of change, for something called the Swarthmore College TCW grant. Again, this is something, TCW, by the way, is Town Center West. As I understand it, the college received a certain amount of money, I think on the order of $3 million, as a grant for Town Center West, because the borough is technically the applicant for those funds. the borough received the first $1.9 million, which we deposited and then immediately wrote a check to the college for the same amount. Am I right about that, Jane? Is that sort of, yeah, so that's what that's all about. Any other questions about that?
Does any of that need an approval by council?
Well, I just, the auditor likes to see that you knew every check that went through the register.
Right.
So you're just ratifying, they've already been signed, you signed them, I signed them, and they've already,
I
so
hope
they're
it's
not,
approved because they signed the check.
yeah, they're not.
You signed a check for 1.9 million?
Well, I'm going to move.
Move to ratify the.
I'm going to move that we ratify the two concrete transactions totaling $7,000 and the roughly $1.9 million transaction.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any question about that? All those in favor of ratifying those transactions, say aye.
All right.
Chair votes aye. They're approved.
Then there are bills to pay amounting to $135,262.06. And I move that those be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any question about any item on the bill list? All those in favor of approving payment of checks in the amount of $135,262.06, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. They're approved. Payment approved.
All right, now we have consideration of the 2017 budget. Obviously, that's been circulated. We've had a chance to look at it. Been advertised, has it not? And we're ready to move on that. So maybe even before. Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion that council approve the budget for 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I think for the record, we should note that we didn't raise taxes.
Well, you're right, you can actually note that in the next tax ordinance, which is coming up. You can note it twice, actually. So
As often as we love. The one notable thing for our taxpayer.
That is notable.
I had a question. which
Sure.
is,
Yeah, please.
Based on the cash now at the end of the year, obviously it's all shaking out the way it was expected. Are there any last minute adjustments to be made or anything?
By last minute adjustments, you mean?
Based on,
Oh,
do we have more money, less money, more things? Is there any last minute changes that needs to be made?
I don't have any. I don't know if.
I mean, I think if you wanted to reduce the cash balance, you could put more in, there's a line item where you put money into the capital account. There's no particular reason to do it now. I mean, something could happen, people have mentioned sewers and so on and so forth, where leaving that money in the unrestricted fund balance would be fine. But this year, for example, we plan to put $50,000 in, and you'll see in next month's ratification list, we actually transferred $100,000 into the capital account. So you could do the same thing next year. You may need it next year to have another, to not increase taxes another year, brought it down a little bit. So my recommendation would be to leave it low.
And I would note my understanding that this budget, as it is before us, harking back to the December 5 minutes, does in fact transfer extra money that became available because our required payment for sewage treatment to CDCA was less than required in 2016, and also does contemplate non-uniform personnel employees will receive a 3.5% increase next year.
Right, it already includes a 3.5%.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions or discussion about the budget? All those in favor of approving it, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes, any opposed? Chair votes aye. The budget is approved. With appreciation to the borough manager for assisting us, as always, in finding our way through the budget process to this point.
Absolutely, could not do it without her. Next up, consideration of 2017 tax and fee ordinance. I move that council approve the 2017 tax and fee ordinance as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to note that we didn't raise taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This would be ordinance number 1079, I understand?
It would, yes.
All those in favor of approval of the 2017 tax and fee ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Its ordinance is adopted.
Lastly, we have consideration of 4 resolutions. First is authorization for the Borough Treasurer to collect the sanitary sewer fee. I move that council adopt that resolution.
Which would, if adopted, be Resolution 2016-18. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of adoption of Resolution 2016-18, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. It's adopted.
Next up, non-uniform and police contributions to the pension funds. What's the resolution number for that?
2016-19.
2016-19. I move that council adopt resolution 2016-19 relative to non-uniform and police contributions to the pension funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
There's no significant changes over prior year.
No, it's
No.
5% the maximum that's allowed. Sure.
Just to put that on the record.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of adoption of Resolution 2016-19, say aye. Any opposed? No opposition. Chair votes aye. It's adopted.
Next up, resolution number 2016-20 relative to cost of living adjustment for borough pensioners. I move that council adopt resolution 2016-20.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Somehow I was given a cheat sheet that seems to have a 2016-20 resolution number floating around, and I don't know quite what.
What is the number on that resolution?
There were
Let's be
2
sure.
resolutions for the pension funds. One is non-uniform, one is police.
Okay. All right, so one's 2016-20, the other's 2016-21. I'm going to remake my motion, if I may, that council adopt resolutions 2016-20 and 2016-21.
Okay, is there a second? Or as to vote?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Chair votes aye, they're both adopted.
Lastly, we have appointment of the independent auditor, which is resolution 2016-22.
Yes.
And I hereby move that council adopt resolution 2016-22 for appointment of the independent auditor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor of adoption of resolution 2016-22 say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. The independent auditor is appointed.
That's all I have.
Well done. Thank you very much. General government.
Our next meeting will be in January on the 3rd Monday, that's January 16th. The meeting will be at 7:30 in the evening. Previously, we met at 8:30 in the morning, but in 2017, we're changing our time to 7:30 in the evening to make it easier for people to attend the meeting. So that will be January 16, 7:30 p.m.
In this room.
in this room. We had a meeting today, and it was a good meeting, and there were 2 items on the agenda. One, Swarthmore Town Center came, and they were accompanied, it was Laura Pietrangelo, the coordinator for Town Center, and she was accompanied by the head of the Community Arts Center. And the purpose of their visit was to discuss how the Community Arts Center wishes to return to Swarthmore to bring the Fine Arts and Crafts Festival back to Swarthmore this coming year. And the date they wish to do that is September 23, 2017. That's a Saturday from 10 in the morning to 5 p.m. So that's a very good thing. We're very happy that the Community Arts Center thought it went well last year, and they're bringing it back again. It was successful for the community, so that's a real positive. And they came to us because they wanted to discuss with us closing of streets for that event. And they did describe that. I think Jay Billings can probably pretty accurately describe what they said about that. I guess it's closing the streets, Park down to Harvard, and then in front of the co-op, and alongside the co-op, and Myers also. And was it-
No, Myers was where they had it the first year, but they
Yes.
moved it from there.
Right.
That's parking now. I think
And
they wanted Park Avenue all the way between Harvard and, basically, and Myers Avenue, but not including Myers Avenue. And then that was the Dartmouth.
yes, and there was discussion, we asked Laura Pietrangelo about the merchants. She said generally the merchants are supportive of this and they're willing to help and work through any questions the merchants might have about this. And the consensus of the committee was this is a good thing. And it'll come up because a contract has to be signed and the council has to approve that contract, so the committee recommends that to council. There was no formal motion made though.
This year, do I recall that it was parked between the Methodist Church and Myers?
I was out of town that day.
Actually,
Did it go the whole way to Harvard?
Up to Dartmouth.
To Dartmouth.
But
To
then-
Dartmouth.
So I remember they had a barricade up at Harvard to
Right.
keep people from coming down.
Right.
So even though they didn't use from the Methodist Church on, it was
Right.
still
Okay.
technically blocked.
So this, I'm just trying to get an idea of
Yeah.
what the request would represent in terms of expansion of the area where they would be setting up their displays and booths and whatever. So they would have the displays themselves, the booths, however one describes them, the whole way between Myers and Harvard. And then,
I don't believe it would go away to Harvard.
All right.
Again, we would close the road off to Harvard,
Like
but
the
still
church.
only go to the Methodist Church.
oh, okay,
So-
all right,
And then the other expansion is Dartmouth
okay.
to Lincoln Way.
But including or not including Lincoln Way itself?
I don't think they asked to use Lincoln Way. And I think they were hoping that that loop would stay open, actually, for traffic.
Okay, okay, good, okay, thanks.
They did, I have their written piece that they handed up to us. They said to close part or all of Lincoln Way as necessary to allow space for food vending or ensure safety for event goers to access this vending.
But it's also still an ongoing discussion because they're talking with the co-op about food and things like that, so depending on how all that goes.
Good.
So in other words, I think they were asking for more than they actually plan on using.
Yes.
So then we need to try.
So I guess it'll come up when they present the contract.
But I think they wanted to know that, that council, that when that contract came up, that there would not be a new discussion then in fact of this particular plan, because otherwise,
Yeah.
they'll select a certain number of vendors and move forward.
Okay. Anything else?
And then the three representatives of the implementation committee for aging in place came in, and there was an in-depth discussion about that. So Andy Torregrossa, Linton Stables, and Kerry Hogue. And Linton also made clear that he's, as the president of the Senior Citizens Association, he was kind of wearing two hats as a member of implementation, but also as president of Senior Citizens. I'll just kind of summarize what they said, and members of the committee are free to add to that. They had made a proposal to allocate $20,000 to a company that has not been formed called Swarthmore Seasons, and the council instead, because that was not formed and we didn't know who it was, that instead we granted two grants, a $5,000 grant to the library, a $5,000 grant to SRA to promote senior programming. They had questions about how council will hold the library and SRA accountable for spending those funds. They had questions about whether those funds could be limited specifically to items that are in the Aging in Place Task Force report. They had questions about what directives could be given to the library and the SRA. There was kind of a full discussion about how we've encouraged the implementation committee to meet with the library and SRA and share their views about how those grants might be spent. And we talked about ways to move forward, a positive note to accomplish some of those things. There was discussion of some of the things, progress that's been made over the past year. For instance, Jane Billings talked about some of the potential for improvements in the future in handicap access at the train station. There was a wide-ranging discussion. The mayor was present and also addressed some of these issues. And so there was no resolution, formal or vote, but there was a good discussion, and we're going to move forward with further attempts to implement improvements for seniors in the community.
Okay,
And that's it.
that's your report?
That's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Planning and zoning?
Thank you. I just wanted to report that last week, the Borough Solicitor, Bob Scott, and I met with the Riverview Road neighbors last Tuesday evening for about 2 hours to discuss an ongoing issue with an abutting shopping center, and we'll be talking more about that in an executive session later. Also, we're not meeting in December. Our committee will be meeting on January 26th at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Public safety?
Yes, very briefly, we're not meeting this month, but we will meet at a regularly scheduled time in January. That'll be Tuesday, January 17th, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. I think the principal item on the agenda will be traffic calming and yellow avenue.
Okay, thank you. Public works?
I'll keep calling that out. Thank you, Dave. I have no report. We didn't meet since last meeting. We are going to meet this Thursday, 8:30 a.m. here, primarily for EAC and discussions of Little Pond Creek. And the only other kind of public works thing of note happened on my street recently. I'm just noting it in that the one thing that came out of it, we had some sewage back up in various homes that might have arisen from cleaning that occurred on the main line on Michigan Ave. But if you don't have a check valve in your home, that can occur. So,
Is that what I saw some trucks out on Michigan?
on Michigan Ave.
I think that
This morning.
Jane will be able to give us a fuller description of that whole
Yeah,
situation.
that's a very thumbnail sketch.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one item of note is check valve is needed to prevent that from happening. There's cleaning going on in your home.
Yeah, and the fact is that that houses are not supposed to have basement drains connect to the sewer line. And judging at least from next door Swarthmore, some of the backup that occurred because people's drains, not their sanitary sewer lines, but their drains, washing machines or floor drains were connected to the sewer lines, but without any device in the line to prevent them from backing up those lines. But Jane, could you give us a further description of what's the sequence of events as you understand it for the Michigan Avenue municipal sewer line?
I don't think well, it's not a secret, this might not be the best venue to discuss the sequence of events.
No, I think
But, yeah.
the people who live in those houses are entitled to know.
we
There might be some,
And those who are contacting us, we absolutely,
but there's some question as to the extent to which, if at all, the borough might have any responsibility to property owners who suffered those problems. But without regard to that and expressing no opinion at all about that, it's my understanding that initially there was blockage in that municipal sewer line in Michigan, which is our line. But attached to that line are also some houses on the other side that are in Ridley Township.
Right.
And that they responding to a complaint from those property owners, Ridley Township itself made an effort first to unblock our municipal sewer line. That's set in train, and let me say also that line is part of what is the planned checking of our 1/7 of our municipal sewer lines this year, which we do every year. And so after the Ridley Township effort, then the folks who were already scoping that line and were to clear it out had their effort at it, and they discovered through the televising of it that there's some characteristics of that line which might require greater repair, and Jane will have the borough engineer look at that to decide what, if anything, of a more significant nature may need to be done to that line. But the consequence of, I think it's fair to say, based upon what I know, the cleaning of the line did not cause the problem that was experienced by some of the Swarthmore property owners that are serviced by that line. But blockage in that line, for whatever reasons occurred, unrelated to the cleaning and scoping of the line, is what caused the problem for those property owners. But again, that's an ongoing, the effort is made to clear it and to clean it, but certain characteristics of the line that might be problematic, that require more significant work, are under consideration.
It was certainly the most notable public works thing on my street.
This
It's nice to broke
This
out.
doesn't have anything to do with stormwater. right?
No,
No, it's a
Totally
different
separate.
drain.
So
It's a
different.
sanitary sewer, not stormwater, not, right, exactly. So, that's, again, it's who may be responsible for any costs associated with the effect that this blockage had on individual property owners is a matter to be determined probably by insurance companies. Anything else for public works?
That's all I have.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other business for us this evening? The mayor?
Well, this is our final meeting of the year, so I think it's appropriate to mention, from the mayor's point of view, it's been a very, I think, successful year. We've had a number of changes in the borough between the roundabout fully coming online and the inn and Central Park, all things which I think were overall beneficial to the town. People in town very often have trouble with the word change as a way of describing the borough. And I think that a particular change itself isn't bad as long as we understand what the sort of the core values that we all hold in common, that we can still maintain all the things that we love about the town while still advancing the borough and making the quality of life better for all our citizens.
Okay, thank you very much. Borough manager?
By the way, we did not raise taxes either.
Thank you. As many people as want to can take credit for that. I'd like to respond with the borough manager, Jane, do you have anything to report?
Just checking to see if there was anything on the, manager's report. I don't think there's anything. Would like to remind people that we are closed on Monday, January 2nd. So the first council meeting of the year, the work session will be on Tuesday, January 3rd.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Solicitor?
Thank you, I don't have anything.
Okay, at this point, we're going to adjourn into executive session. The purpose is to discuss the issues existing between residents of Riverview Road and Swarthmore Borough and the contiguous shopping center and its owner. Thank you all for coming. You can all leave, and we'll sit here. Thank you, Chief. Happy holidays to you and to your colleagues in the police department.